Hello and welcome to Roundtable. I'm your host, Zachary Young. My guest today is Daniel.
Howdy.
Sorry, what's your last name? Daniel Palmer, right?
Yeah.
And Daniel is from Alabama. You're from Alabama?
Yeah, from.
I'm getting some feedback here. Do you hear that? You hear that feedback?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I think I gotta close some windows down. Hold on. Wait. Test. Okay, I think it's good now. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the anti-Trump protests that were happening recently.
Right.
So what are these people advocating for? Do they want to see Trump deposed, impeached? And are they being hypocritical here to protest the result of an election? If they are supporters of democracy, shouldn't they accept the majority will? Isn't that the whole premise behind the Democrat notion that you do have mob rule? What do you think about these anti-Trump protesters, Daniel?
Well, I've always said that you have to think when it comes to things like that, because it might not mean a lot to some people, but I take great pride uh, in the practice of going to cast that vote, because you've got to put a lot of thought into it. But these people, they're not putting any thought at all into it. It's all right here. They're all putting feeling in it. And when you put too much feeling in something, it always ends bad.
One of the reasons why I prefer the market economy to the political system is that in order to make a good decision at the ballot box, you have to be a veritable expert on economics and social science to trace the very tenuous path of your vote, and then the politicians' policies, and then their impact back on you. It's very difficult to adequately analyze that chain of events and what
And
impact.
especially when you have such polarizing figures, you know, you've got, you basically have the dark fighting the night, you know.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's a
it's
good analogy.
it's kind of really, it was so polarizing that it literally made people just like they took their minds completely out of it, and they got so passionate that it was coming from here, and they didn't gain the sense to say, oh, stop, because now they're out there burning stuff. And I just wonder how many of them are going to wake up in the morning and go, what? Oh. Yeah, they're going to wake up in a jail cell, and they're going to wonder why, because they didn't have that brain when they were doing that.
And you really have to wonder too. I mean, these people who were supporting Hillary Clinton, like, why were they even supporting her? It's not like she's a good candidate. She's pro-war. She's got all these shady links to foreign governments that are donating millions of dollars to her Clinton Foundation. I mean, this is a person who's been in public office her whole life, who's now worth $100 million. Obviously she's incredibly corrupt and just so why are these people so crazy about having Hillary Clinton in charge when she's an anti-peace, pro-war candidate, and really, I mean, there weren't really any good substantive ideas that she was advocating for, just the same failed policies of the Obama administration and really of George Bush even before him. So one of the things that President-elect Donald Trump has been talking about is expanding space exploration. What's your view on NASA and potentially a manned expedition of Mars? Is this a good idea? Should we be out there exploring the cosmos, or is this a waste of taxpayer money?
Well, see, the way I see it is you always have to keep your mind open. And, you know, by us going into space, I feel like that's always, you know, we're always looking for a better, I guess, always looking for a better way. At the same time, you could make the argument that they're just going over there to see so they can fuck that planet up too,
Hmm.
right? I've heard both sides. People tell me all the time this, like, well, they're just going over there just because they realize that the Earth's fucked.
And at the same point, we do have to transform the Earth's environment in
Mm,
order to better serve the needs of humanity, right? Like people talk about how it's such a terrible thing that the rainforest in Brazil is being destroyed.
right.
However, wasn't deforestation critical for the economic development of Europe and North America? Where would America be today if all the forests weren't destroyed so that you could have factories and towns and these hundreds of millions of people living there? So I, I'm not sure it's necessarily optimal to preserve the environment in its natural state if that comes at the expense of human suffering. But just to go back to the issue of space exploration, it is sort of a lofty, noble ideal, and but at the same point, where's the money coming from, right? So they are going to have to finance that through taxes, and that's money
Okay.
coming out of
But
the
look at
pockets.
if you look at the positive, that the things that they bring back, okay, they possibly could bring back the cure to, one of a precursor to making a cancer cure.
Hmm.
So if, but we won't know until they go.
Hmm.
It's like a Schrodinger. It there and not there at the same time, but you won't know until you open it. But until you open it, you can assume it's either not there or there.
That's an interesting point, an interesting analogy. Schrodinger's cat. All right, moving on now. The United Kingdom has passed a massive new expansion of surveillance powers, dubbed the Snoopers Charter, which forces internet providers to record every internet customer's top level web history in real time for up to a year, which can be accessed by numerous government departments. They're also forcing companies to decrypt data on demand, reminding us of the whole Apple saga with the San Bernardo shooter.
Right.
Though the government has never been clear on exactly how it forces foreign films to do that. So is privacy a relic of a bygone era? And what can be done to fight the constant encroachment of the state on our right to privacy?
Well, see, here's what you can do. Sit, you can either sit and put numerous things on your computer to hide, you got your, you got your Mac spoofer, you got your this, trying to hide your IP, you got the Orbot, you
Tor
got the
browse.
onion routers, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But I say, why not take all that energy that you're going to put into that and put it into going out there and trying to make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Because uh, they cannot, uh, if enough people were to get together and cause not I'm not saying cause chaos, you know. I'm talking about a peaceful, all you would have to do is just show up.
Hmm.
And if you show up in solidarity and peacefulness, and then that's on them. If then they get violent, then uh, it was them that come.
We are living in a very Orwellian society. There's so much surveillance and spying going on, and you have to really ask yourselves: Are we a free society if you don't have the right to privacy and
Exactly.
you're left alone? To pursue your own interests, so long as you're not
Exactly.
aggressing against anybody else.
Because you don't even have to be a person of interest anymore.
Hmm.
You can be because if they feel like they want to look at your phone, then guess what they're going to do?
They're going to look at your phone. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen has said that interest rates might be hiked relatively soon. Are interest rates too low? Should the government even manipulate interest rates in the first place? What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't think they should. It shouldn't be as frequent as it is.
Hmm.
I do agree that sometimes you have to let it rise so you can stimulate the economy a little bit. At the same time, that's market manipulation by the government.
And when the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates to boost the economy, is this actually creating real growth or just the illusion thereof? Some
I believe,
economists have theorized that it is these manipulations of the interest rate that lead to the business cycle as entrepreneurs are fooled into thinking that the time preference of consumers has lengthened, causing malinvestments in capital goods industries that are eventually liquidated when they're found out to be uneconomic.
yeah, that's why I believe in the free market. If you let it go, uh, the free market, it make it. Hey, everybody, you can't really go wrong. I mean, if you just and to have government totally out of your business, hey, you can't tell me that's not great because what are without them messing with all the rates and everything, they can't no longer tell you how much you can make. Hey, you don't have you'll be able to make as much as you want to make, but as long as they're still manipulating the interest rates regularly, it puts a kind of a cap on it.
Ludwig von Mises described the market economy as peaceful social cooperation, the process being one of mutually beneficial exchanges, in contrast to the state, which is rule through force and subjugation, where one can gain only at the expense of another person. So I too believe in the free market, the market economy, in the idea that capitalism and the free enterprise system, which allowed America, your country, to grow so wealthy in the first place, right? It was this system of
Mhm.
individual liberty and rights and free
Well,
enterprise, private property.
it was the preservation of the principles that were in mind when they came over here. So, and another thing that bothers me is, we're pretty much a country of immigrants. So how can we? So that's why I guess that's why it makes it such a hot button issue because you can't really um, but
Yeah, immigration is a hot button topic today. You know, a lot of people are
it's just
are
like the marijuana.
mhm. Yeah, marijuana. A number of states have now legalized marijuana for medical or recreational use, and Canada, my country, is poised to legal it across the country very soon. But are the regulations imposed on the marijuana industry just a way for a select few politically connected businesses to cash in on the new green market? And what can be done to fight cronyism in the marijuana industry?
Well, I see what I tell you is that they have so many taxes on marijuana right now that do you to even consider getting a license just to have a business, 200 grand.
That's a
And
lot of money,
then you got to think about the land
right?
because the land prices have skyrocketed because that's marijuana land now.
Right.
So you're thinking maybe, hey, that's another 100,000. Okay. Now you have to grow enough to keep the store full because people are going to be coming in and it's heavy supply and demand. So many dispensaries in Colorado, I found out, have gone out of business because they couldn't grow enough to keep up with the supply.
Not to mention the hydro bill. That's gonna set them back a pretty penny.
Power bill, uh, the potting soil bill's got to be out of the roof, and so all that together, hey, just to start off in the marijuana business, you're looking at 500,000.
But at least we are sort of headed in the right direction, away from the war on drugs, which has been just an abject failure. You know, so
It was a
many.
tax.
It was
I, I
sorry.
I see it as I see it as that's what it is, and that's what it was made for, was
Hmm.
to be a tax on uh they almost consider it like if you got caught, that was punishing you to so that's almost it's that's why I said the two-party system here has failed miserably. You can tell the last, let's say, 20, maybe 18 years, what what the market went in the shitter. We had a Great Depression, almost another one. We almost had two, one in 2008, and that was because of the housing market that everybody thought was so strong. Where fall they fell victim to weak CDOs and greedy CEOs.
Certainly, some of the blame has to go to Alan Greenspan too, whose loose monetary policies helped inflate the housing bubble in the first place. But you criticize the two-party system. Now, in 2017, 16, we're in 16, right? 2016, Gary Johnson ran and got 3% of the vote, which is pretty substantial for a libertarian candidate, still short of the 5% the Libertarian Party wanted to secure government funding. What are your thoughts on the Johnson campaign in retrospect? Did he do enough? Was this a success given
Well,
how unsuccessful libertarian campaigns in the past? And what are the lessons we can take away from this campaign in the future?
I believe one of the lessons we could take away from this in the future is um, that just because there was two polarizing figures, if instead of letting, instead of trying to attack, make everybody laugh about attacking them, let Trump and Hillary go fight over there. Okay, go. while they're fighting, go deal with all the voters. That
Right.
way, you'll be able to get over. But I still say it was a success, even a small one.
Well, thank you so much for coming on my show. You made
Okay.
a lot of great points, and hopefully you'll come on again someday. That's all for
Well,
now. See you, everybody.